The marketplace of Zephora stretched as far as the eyes could see, a vast mosaic of colors, sounds, and smells. Floating stalls hovered above the cobblestone streets, selling everything from shimmering crystals to glowing fruits that seemed to hum softly. Strange creatures of all shapes and sizes wandered through the crowd, chattering in a dozen alien languages. Above them, the sky glowed with a violet sun, casting a soft, magical light over the city. Among the bustling crowd, humans were rare. Only a few had traveled to Zephora, and most were easily noticed for their simple attire and cautious movements. One human in particular, Ethan, walked quietly between the stalls, careful not to bump into the long-legged alien vendors. He was tall, with dark hair and thoughtful eyes, and he observed everything around him with curiosity. To the aliens, he probably looked ordinary, but to anyone paying attention, there was a quiet strength and intelligence about him. A short distance away, Lyra, an alien girl with sparkling blue skin and hair that shimmered like liquid silver, laughed with her friends. Her eyes, bright and mischievous, followed the humans as they moved through the crowd. "They are so funny," she said, pointing at a group of humans trying to lift a large crate of glowing fruits. "Look at them struggle. Do they even have muscles?" Her friends giggled. One of them, a green-skinned alien with 6 arms, snorted and made exaggerated, clumsy motions with his limbs, mimicking the humans. Ethan noticed Lyra's laughter, but said nothing. He had heard humans were often misunderstood here, and it was no surprise that the aliens made jokes. Still, he couldn't help but feel a little irritation. Humans were strong, smart, and capable, but most of the aliens had never seen it for themselves. Lyra's voice rose again, teasing the humans. "And they try to use tools. Look at that one with the lever. I swear they invent things just to make their lives harder." Her friends roared with laughter, and some nearby aliens joined in. Ethan looked at the crate. Indeed, it was difficult to move, but he had already noticed a pattern in how it was balanced. He stepped closer, ignoring the teasing, and quietly adjusted a small mechanism on the crate. It floated lightly, as if weightless. Lyra noticed the movement and raised an eyebrow. "What is he doing? Wait, that's clever." The other aliens stared. Ethan, the human, had solved the problem in a subtle way without even lifting the crate. Lyra's laughter faltered for a moment. She tilted her head, curiosity replacing amusement. "Humans can think like that?" she asked, almost to herself. Her friends shrugged. "Maybe a fluke," one said. "They are weak, but sometimes they surprise." Ethan didn't respond. He continued to observe the marketplace, noting small details that others might miss. He saw a vendor struggling to balance multiple glowing vases on a floating shelf. Without hesitation, he stepped forward and suggested a minor adjustment in weight distribution. The vases stabilized perfectly. Lyra watched, wide-eyed. "Okay, that's impressive," she admitted quietly. She glanced at him, and for the first time, her teasing tone softened. "Maybe. Humans are not as clumsy as we thought." Her friends continued to laugh, but Lyra no longer joined in. Something about the way Ethan moved, the way he solved problems calmly and effectively, sparked a new kind of interest in her. She decided to follow him from a distance, curious about this human who did not seem ordinary at all. Ethan walked through the market, careful not to draw too much attention, but he couldn't avoid noticing that Lyra was trailing him. He did not turn to confront her. Instead, he kept moving, testing small puzzles and helping where he could. Each time he did, Lyra's curiosity grew. At one point, a group of aliens tried to start a hovercart race through the crowded streets. Lyra laughed and cheered, but Ethan noticed that the course was unstable. Without drawing attention to himself, he adjusted the launch points of the carts, ensuring that none of them toppled over. The aliens raced, and everyone cheered. completely unaware that a human had subtly improved their game. Lyra gasped silently. He's doing it again," she whispered. Her friends noticed her expression but did not ask. Something had shifted in Lyra's mind. The jokes she had made earlier no longer seemed funny. Instead, she felt a spark of respect and a hint of wonder. Later, the crowd gathered near a platform where exotic performers demonstrated their skills. Aliens with tentacles, wings, and multiple limbs performed amazing feats of agility, speed, and strength. Lyra watched, enjoying the spectacle, when she noticed Ethan standing quietly at the edge of the platform. He seemed almost small compared to the performers, yet there was a calm focus in his eyes. One of Lyra's friends nudged her. "Do you think he could do that?" they whispered. Lyra smirked, a playful glint returning to her eyes. "Ha! Of course not. Look at him. He's a human. They stumble on flat ground." Ethan heard the remark but did not react immediately. Instead, he studied the performers, analyzing the timing of their movements. A few moments later, when the performer paused to reset, Ethan stepped onto the platform. The crowd gasped. "He's going up there?" one alien exclaimed. Ethan did not answer. With surprising grace, he mimicked the movements of the performers, adjusting slightly for his human body. He did not have wings or tentacles, but he found balance, momentum, and leverage in ways the aliens had not expected. Slowly, carefully, he completed a series of maneuvers that seemed almost impossible for someone of his shape. The audience erupted into cheers. Lyra's jaw dropped. She had thought humans weak and awkward, but now she saw one moving with intelligence, balance, and precision. "Impossible," one alien muttered. He did it better than some of them." Lyra felt a mix of embarrassment and awe. Her teasing smile faded. She had joked about humans all her life, but here was one who proved her wrong in every way. She stepped closer, watching him carefully. After the performance, Ethan descended the platform and walked calmly through the cheering crowd. Lyra followed, her curiosity stronger than ever. She wanted to know more about this human who could surprise even the most skilled aliens. At the edge of the marketplace, they came across a quiet alley filled with small plants glowing in soft colors. Ethan paused to observe them. Lyra finally spoke, her voice low but steady. "Human, why can you do that?" she asked. "You think differently than us?" Ethan looked up and smiled faintly. "Maybe humans are used to solving problems in many ways," he replied. "We learn to adapt, that's all." Lyra tilted her head. "Adapt? You mean you are clever because you come from somewhere special?" Ethan shrugged. "I'm from Earth." The name fell in the air between them. Lyra blinked. "Earth? You mean humans really are from there?" She realized something important. The jokes, the teasing, the stories she had always heard, none of it prepared her for this. Humans, she now saw, were not weak, clumsy, or simple. They were creative, resourceful, and full of surprises. For the first time, Lyra did not make a joke. She simply studied him, silently taking in what she had just learned. Something had shifted inside her. And as the violet sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the marketplace, Lyra knew one thing. This human, earthborn and unassuming, had changed her perspective forever. The next morning, Zyphora glimmered under the violet sun, the floating marketplace slowly waking with a hum of energy. Lyra moved through the streets with a purpose she had never felt before: curiosity. The memory of the human, Ethan, performing the impossible yesterday still danced in her mind. She could not stop thinking about how clever, calm, and capable he had been. Lyra's friends teased her lightly. "Still thinking about the human?" one asked, flicking a shiny tentacle in amusement. She shrugged, though her thoughts were far away. "He surprised everyone," she admitted quietly. Humans are different? Her friends laughed, assuming it was a passing fascination. But for Lyra, it was no joke. She wanted to see more, and she had an idea. "Come with me," she said abruptly, grabbing Ethan's path in the marketplace later that day. She had found him quietly inspecting a hovering cart, noting its weight distribution with careful precision. "I want to see how clever you really are." Ethan looked up, calm as ever. "I'm just walking through the market," he said. Lyra's eyes sparkled with challenge. "I know, but there's a place where all species show their skills. If you are as clever as I think, you could surprise even more people." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "A place to show skills? What do you mean?" She grinned. "The Zyphora Challenge Arena. Only the best can compete there. It's not easy, but it's fun. Come with me." Ethan hesitated briefly. Humans were often underestimated here, and many aliens expected them to fail. But he sensed no danger, only curiosity and opportunity. "All right," he said, adjusting his backpack. "Lead the way." The challenge arena floated above the city on a platform supported by anti-gravity fields. It was a spectacular sight. Rings of glowing obstacles, moving platforms, and puzzles designed to test intelligence, speed, and creativity. Aliens from all over Zyphora watched competitions daily, and the audience's excitement was palpable. Lyra pushed through the crowd, pointing at various challenges. "These are the trials. You must solve puzzles, move quickly, and think carefully. Most species have many limbs or wings. They have natural advantages. Humans, well, they usually struggle." She laughed lightly, though the edge of doubt had entered her voice. Ethan studied the arena. Unlike the aliens, he had no extra limbs or wings. But he did have patience, observation, and ingenuity. He noticed patterns in the obstacles, small mechanical designs the aliens took for granted, and he could already imagine ways to adapt. "Where do I start?" he asked, calm and ready. Lyra's grin widened. "Pick any challenge. Try to finish it. I dare you." She expected him to fail. She expected a stumble, a trip, or a mistake to make everyone laugh. But Ethan simply nodded and walked to the first challenge, a maze of floating platforms and light beams that required precise timing. The crowd watched in silence. Humans rarely attempted this arena, and few expected them to succeed. Ethan studied the platforms. The beams shifted with a pattern, moving in a slow, predictable rhythm. He waited, then stepped lightly onto the first platform, timing his movement with the rhythm of the light. Step by step, he moved through the maze. Lyra's eyes widened. He's doing it," she whispered. The crowd gasped as Ethan navigated the maze, not relying on strength or speed, but careful observation, timing, and logical reasoning. Where many aliens jumped and flailed their multiple limbs, Ethan used strategy. He adjusted his balance, anticipated the movement of the beams, and found the safest path. By the time he reached the end, the audience erupted in cheers. Lyra felt her jaw drop. She had thought humans were weak and clumsy, but this human had succeeded without extraordinary limbs or powers, simply with his mind. Encouraged, Lyra pointed to the next challenge, a puzzle of floating orbs that needed to be arranged to form a specific pattern. Aliens with multiple eyes and tentacles struggled, fumbling the orbs repeatedly. Ethan examined the puzzle carefully. He noticed subtle clues in the shape and glow of the orbs. With deliberate precision, he moved them into the correct pattern. The puzzle clicked, and a small platform rose, indicating completion. The crowd went silent for a moment, then exploded into cheers. Even the judges were astonished. Lyra approached him, a mix of awe and disbelief in her eyes. I thought you'd fail. How did you do that?" Ethan shrugged. "I look carefully, then think of a solution. I don't rush." Lyra blinked. Humans were supposed to be clumsy, weak, or limited. But here was one, calm and clever, succeeding where others struggled. You really are different, she admitted. The final challenge was a test of agility. Aliens had to jump between spinning platforms, avoiding energy barriers while collecting small, floating orbs. Most species could fly or had multiple limbs to assist, but humans were at a disadvantage. Ethan looked at the platforms, timing the spins and observing the energy barriers. With careful jumps and precise landings, he moved across the platforms. He grabbed the floating orbs, adjusting his movements to the rhythm of the spinning rings. One alien spectator whispered, "How? Is he doing this? He has only 2 legs and no wings." Ethan reached the last platform with a final leap, landing perfectly. The audience exploded into applause, cheering the human's unexpected skill. Lyra stood frozen for a moment, her teasing grin gone. She had never seen a human like this. You're amazing," she said finally, almost breathless. Ethan looked at her calmly. "I'm just solving the problems in front of me." Lyra realized something important. Humans were often underestimated because aliens only noticed their physical differences. They did not see the mind, the patience, and the creativity humans possessed. Ethan's success was not luck. It was human ingenuity in action. She felt a strange mix of admiration and humility. I may have judged humans too quickly," she admitted. Ethan smiled faintly. "Judging without seeing is easy. Understanding takes more effort." For the first time, Lyra felt the weight of her previous jokes. She had laughed at humans, teased them, and assumed they were weak. But this one human had changed everything. Later, as the sun dipped lower, casting violet and pink hues across the arena, the crowd slowly dispersed. Lyra walked beside Ethan, still trying to process what she had witnessed. "Tell me something," she said cautiously. "Where are you from? Humans like you, where do they come from?" Ethan glanced at her. "I'm from Earth." Lyra froze. Earth. She had heard stories about humans from faraway worlds, but to see one in person, performing like this, it was extraordinary. All her old jokes and assumptions seemed small now. You are Earthborn?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Ethan nodded. "Yes, I am." Lyra felt a mix of emotions, surprise, awe, and something she had never expected, respect. Humans were not clumsy or simple. They were clever, adaptable, and capable of amazing feats. She realized she had much to learn about them, and perhaps even from them. As they walked through the quiet streets of Zephora, Lyra spoke softly, almost to herself. "I thought humans were weak, but I see now. They can do incredible things." Ethan smiled faintly. "We do what we must. We adapt. That's all." Lyra looked at him, and for the first time, she did not make a joke. Instead, she felt curiosity and admiration. This human, quiet and unassuming, had proven something important. Humans were more than their reputation. They were capable, clever, and surprising. And as the stars began to twinkle above Zephora, Lyra realized something else. She wanted to see more. She wanted to understand humans, learn from them, and perhaps work with them. For the first time, teasing and laughter were gone. In their place was respect, and a spark of excitement for what could come next. The floating streets of Zephora glimmered under the violet sun as evening approached. Crowds had thinned from the marketplace, leaving only small groups of aliens wandering leisurely among the stalls. The glowing fruits and shimmering crystals cast soft lights, giving the city a calm, magical feeling. Lyra walked beside Ethan, her mind racing. She could still hardly believe what she had seen in the challenge arena. She had always thought humans were clumsy and weak. Their stories were told across the galaxy, funny small creatures who tried to survive but lacked skill, speed, or intelligence compared to other species. Lyra had laughed along with those jokes, teasing them whenever she saw them. But Ethan had changed everything in a few short hours. "Why are you so calm?" she asked suddenly, her blue eyes wide and earnest. "Even with all those challenges, you never seemed worried." Ethan shrugged lightly. "Worry doesn't help. I just observe, think, and act. That's all." Lyra frowned. She had teased him before, thinking humans were fragile, but now she realized he had a focus she had never seen in any alien. The creatures she knew were strong, fast, or intelligent in their own ways, but most relied on physical advantages. Ethan relied on something different, something powerful. She stopped walking and looked at him closely. You are not like the stories," she said softly. "You, humans, are different." Ethan met her gaze, his expression calm and steady. "Stories are often exaggerated. People like simple versions of the truth. It's easier that way." Lyra nodded slowly. I see that now. I thought humans were clumsy, simple, and weak, but you prove otherwise." He smiled faintly. "We do what we need to do to survive. We learn to adapt. That's all." The words stayed with Lyra as they walked through the quiet streets. She thought of her life on Zephora, how she had grown up teasing humans, believing them small and weak. And now, here was one who had outsmarted her and most of her friends in the challenge arena. Her curiosity grew stronger. "Tell me," she said, hesitating, "where do humans come from? What is Earth like?" Ethan looked up at the violet sky, thinking. "Earth is our home. It is a planet full of forests, oceans, mountains, and people. Humans. We learn from everything around us. We adapt. That is why we survive, why we can solve problems, and why we can do what others think is impossible." Lyra's eyes widened. "So, all humans are clever like you?" Ethan shook his head. "Not all, but humans have a way of thinking that makes them strong in ways that others may not notice at first." She blinked, trying to imagine a planet filled with humans, each one quietly clever, adaptable, and patient. Zephora had many species with natural advantages. Wings, multiple limbs, heightened senses. But humans had something different: creativity, persistence, and ingenuity. Lyra felt a strange mixture of awe and guilt. I joked about humans for so long," she admitted. "I laughed at them, teased them. But now I see I was wrong." Ethan smiled softly. "It is easy to judge when you do not see. You are learning now." They continued walking until they reached a quiet, floating bridge overlooking the glowing city below. The light reflected on the water canals and the hovering streets, painting everything in soft colors. Lyra stopped and leaned on the railing. "Earthborn," she whispered, testing the words on her tongue. "You come from Earth. The stories I have heard, they are small compared to the truth. You, humans, are strong in ways I never imagined." Ethan leaned beside her, calm and thoughtful. "Strength is not always what people see first. Sometimes it is patience, cleverness, or the ability to adapt." Lyra's mind raced. She thought of her life, of the times she had made fun of humans without really knowing them, and she thought of Ethan, who had done what she thought was impossible with just his mind and quiet determination. She realized that she had underestimated humans not because they were weak, but because she had never looked beyond appearances. "Can you teach me?" she asked suddenly, surprising herself. "Can you show me more? How humans think, how they solve problems?" Ethan turned to her, slightly surprised. "I can try. Humans, we share what we know. We help where we can. But learning also comes from trying for yourself." Lyra nodded, a spark of excitement in her eyes. She had always loved challenges, but this was different. She wanted to understand humans not as a joke, but as something extraordinary. Just then, a group of young aliens ran by, laughing and pointing at some floating puzzle devices in the alley. Lyora's competitive nature sparked. "Do you want to try one more challenge?" she asked. Ethan followed her to the puzzle. It was simple for most aliens. They had multiple arms and could manipulate the pieces easily. But for humans, it required thought, patience, and strategy. Lyra expected him to hesitate. Instead, he studied the puzzle carefully. He analyzed the shapes, noticed patterns in the glowing symbols, and began moving the pieces into place. Step by step, he solved the puzzle, arranging the pieces perfectly in a way the aliens had never considered. Lyra gasped. I didn't think humans could do that." Ethan smiled faintly. "We learn to see patterns others might miss, that is all." Her respect for him grew with every step. She realized that humans had a way of solving problems that was different from any species she had known, less reliant on natural gifts and more on creativity, logic, and patience. For the first time, she saw humans not as clumsy or weak, but as capable, adaptable, and surprising. Lyra felt a new sense of curiosity, a desire to understand more, and maybe even a little humility. "Ethan, Earthborn," she said softly, "I think I have been wrong about humans my whole life." He looked at her calmly. "It is never too late to learn." They walked in silence for a while, watching the city glow under the violet sky. Lyora's mind was full of questions. She wanted to know about Earth, about humans, and about how they thought so differently from her own species. And she wanted to understand Ethan, this calm, clever human who had turned her assumptions upside down. Finally, she spoke again. "Can I ask you something personal?" Ethan nodded. "Of course." "Why did you come here? Why leave Earth?" Ethan looked up at the stars above Zephora. "Humans explore. We learn. I wanted to see the galaxy, understand other species, and perhaps show that humans are more than the stories say." Lyra nodded slowly. She felt a strange warmth in her chest, a mix of admiration, curiosity, and excitement. For the first time, she did not feel superior to a human. She felt inspired. You are incredible," she admitted. "And Earth, I want to know more. Maybe humans are what I have been missing." Ethan smiled faintly. "You will see. Humans have many surprises, and we learn from others too. Cooperation is important." The violet sun dipped lower, and the city's glow reflected on the floating platforms and canals below. Lyra realized that this human, earthborn and unassuming, had not only changed her perspective on humans, but had also shown her that learning and understanding were never-ending. "Tomorrow," she said softly, "I want to try another challenge with you. Not to beat you, but to learn." Ethan nodded. "I would like that." Lyra smiled, a mixture of excitement and respect in her eyes. For the first time, she looked at a human not as a subject of jokes, but as a teacher, an equal, and perhaps a friend. And as the stars began to sparkle above Zephora, she felt a new kind of wonder, the wonder of discovery, the wonder of human potential, and the wonder of what could happen when species truly understood each other. This revelation, simple yet profound, marked a turning point for Lyra. She had laughed at humans, teased them, and assumed they were weak. But now, after witnessing one Earthborn human's skill, patience, and cleverness, she knew the truth. Humans were capable, adaptable, and remarkable. For the first time, Lyra's teasing laughter was replaced by curiosity and respect, and she knew that tomorrow and the days after she would learn more, and perhaps even grow alongside humans, discovering things about her world she had never imagined. The next day, Zephora's sun rose in soft shades of violet and pink, spilling light across the floating city. The streets were already busy with vendors preparing their stalls, and children with multicolored skin zoomed past on hoverboards, laughing as they played. Lyra walked beside Ethan, her mind still filled with thoughts from the previous day. "I thought humans were weak," she said quietly, as if speaking her own thoughts aloud. "But you are clever. You solve problems in ways I never imagined." Ethan smiled faintly. "We do what we can, observing, thinking, and trying. That's all humans do." Lyra nodded thoughtfully. "I want to see more. I want to learn." She glanced around. "There is a lab not far from here. Some of the alien inventors are working on a device that no one has been able to fix. It is very complex. I thought maybe you could try." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "A complex alien device? That might be interesting." The lab was a floating structure of glass and metal perched above a sparkling canal. Inside, the room hummed with energy. Alien engineers with multiple arms adjusted glowing circuits, while floating drones hovered nearby, scanning holographic screens. At the center was the device, a sphere of shifting lights, circuits, and rotating rings. It emitted soft pulses, as if it had a mind of its own. "This has been giving us trouble for months," one alien engineer said, noticing Ethan. "No one can make it stable. We tried everything." Ethan knelt beside the device, examining it closely. He did not touch it immediately. Instead, he observed the movements of the rings, the pattern of lights, and the flow of energy. His human mind quickly began to map the problem. Where the aliens saw complexity, he saw patterns. Where they relied on trial and error, he relied on reasoning. Lyra watched him silently. She had been right to bring him here. She could feel it. He would succeed where others had failed. "Try adjusting this ring," Ethan suggested quietly, pointing to a small component. "It seems to influence the rest of the structure. Align it slowly with the flow of energy." One of the alien engineers hesitated. "That might work, but no one has been able to stabilize it." Ethan nodded. "We need to understand the pattern first. Then the solution becomes clear." Carefully, he moved the ring. The device pulsed, then stabilized for a moment before shifting again. Ethan's eyes sparkled. "We need to adjust these 3 sections together, step by step, following the natural flow. Don't rush." The aliens watched, amazed. Slowly, methodically, Ethan worked. His movements were precise but gentle. He did not try to force the device to work. He guided it, respecting the patterns within it. Lyra could hardly believe her eyes. He understands it. He's seeing what we could not." Step by step, the device's erratic pulses began to synchronize. The rotating rings aligned perfectly, and the glowing lights stabilized. A soft hum of success filled the room. "It's working," one of the engineers whispered, astonished. I don't understand how." Ethan smiled faintly. "You were trying too hard. Sometimes the solution comes from understanding first, then acting." Lyra's eyes shone with admiration. "That's incredible." She stepped closer. "Ethan, your mind. Humans are truly amazing." Ethan shrugged. "We learn from what we see. We observe, think, and try. That's all." But Lyra knew it was more than that. This was human ingenuity in action, creativity, patience, and determination combined to achieve something no one thought possible. As the day passed, Lyra and Ethan continued working together. They experimented with new adjustments, fine-tuning the device and testing ideas. Each time a small problem arose, Ethan analyzed it and found a solution. Each time an alien engineer tried a method that failed, Ethan suggested a new approach, often using simple logic and observation. Lyra noticed a change in herself. She had always been playful and teasing, quick to make jokes about humans. But now, She listened carefully, watched closely, and learned. She realized that humans had ways of thinking that were different, but just as powerful as her own species' abilities. During a break, Lyra sat beside Ethan and asked, "Do you ever get frustrated when things don't work?" Ethan shook his head. "Frustration doesn't help. You need to understand the problem first. Patience is important." Lyra nodded slowly. She had never thought of patience as a strength before. On Zyphora, speed, skill, and power were often valued above all else. But watching Ethan, she realized that patience and careful thought could be just as powerful. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, painting the sky in deep violet and orange, the device finally stabilized completely. It glowed steadily, emitting a soft melody of harmonized lights and gentle pulses. The alien engineers cheered, floating in excitement around Ethan. "You did it," Lyra said softly, almost in awe. "No one here could do it. But you, human, you fixed it." Ethan smiled faintly. "I just tried to understand it. That's all humans do." Lyra laughed lightly, but there was no teasing in her voice this time. "You are modest, but humans are extraordinary." I think I underestimated your species for too long." Ethan glanced at her calmly. "It is easy to underestimate when you do not see. But now you have seen." Lyra nodded, feeling a warm sense of respect. She realized that humans had a power that others rarely noticed, a quiet strength in observation, reasoning, and creativity. And she felt lucky to witness it firsthand. As the lab quieted, Ethan and Lyra stepped outside. The city lights glimmered below, and the soft hum of hover vehicles filled the air. "You know," Lyra said thoughtfully, "I always thought humans were weak. But I see now, you are clever, resourceful, and strong in ways we never considered." Ethan smiled faintly. "We do what we can. That is all." "But it is more than that," Lyra said, her voice filled with excitement. "You solved something no one here could fix." That is incredible." Ethan shrugged lightly. "It is just a challenge. We all have challenges to face. Humans learn to solve them." Lyra laughed softly, shaking her head. "You make it sound so simple, but it is not simple. It is remarkable." They walked along the glowing canals, the reflection of the city lights shimmering in the water. Lyra felt a sense of connection she had never felt before. Not just curiosity, but admiration, respect, and perhaps the beginning of a true friendship. "Tomorrow," she said quietly, "I want to learn more from you. Not just about devices or puzzles, but about humans. Your thinking, your ideas. Can you teach me?" Ethan glanced at her. "I can show you how we approach problems. You can learn from that, but you must also practice yourself. Humans learn by trying." Lyra nodded eagerly. "I want to try. I want to understand humans, truly." For the first time, she realized that humans were more than stories or jokes. They were capable, creative, and surprising, and she wanted to see all of it for herself. As night fell over Zyphora, the violet stars twinkled above. Lyra and Ethan sat quietly on the edge of a floating platform, watching the city glow beneath them. The hum of energy from the floating structures and the soft ripple of the canals created a peaceful rhythm. Lyra thought about the past days, the marketplace, the challenge arena, and now the lab. Each moment had revealed something new about humans, about their ingenuity, and about their potential. I think I understand now," she said softly. "Humans are not clumsy or weak. You are strong in ways I never imagined. And Earth, I want to see it one day. To understand it myself." Ethan smiled faintly. "Perhaps one day you will. Humans have much to teach, and much to learn as well." Lyra nodded, feeling a new sense of purpose. She had begun her journey teasing and joking about humans, but now she saw them with fresh eyes, capable, adaptable, and remarkable. She realized that humans, like Ethan, could inspire others not by strength alone, but by creativity, patience, and intelligence. And as the stars shone above Zephora, Lyra felt a spark of excitement. She had found something extraordinary, a human who had changed her perspective and shown her the power of Earthborn ingenuity. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new puzzles, and new opportunities to learn. And Lyra was ready to embrace them, not as a joker or tease, but as a student, an observer, and perhaps a partner in discovering the amazing potential of humans. The main square of Zephora was alive with light and energy. Floating platforms displayed exotic inventions, and glowing banners waved in the violet wind. Aliens from many species had gathered, excited to see the latest technological marvels the inventors had produced. The air buzzed with anticipation, and a gentle hum from hovering drones filled the space. Lyra walked beside Ethan, her eyes shining. Today was the day she would show the aliens the human she had come to respect, and perhaps inspire a new understanding of humans everywhere. "You are ready?" she asked, a mixture of excitement and nerves in her voice. Ethan nodded calmly. "I am ready." The crowd had noticed the two of them approaching the demonstration platform. Aliens whispered to each other. Humans were rare on Zephora, and they often assumed they were clumsy, weak, or unremarkable. But rumors had spread about the device Ethan had helped stabilize in the lab the day before. Some curious spectators had come to see him in action. Lyra stepped forward first, raising her voice to address the crowd. "Citizens of Zephora! Today you will see what a human can do, not with wings or extra limbs, not with natural power, but with intelligence, creativity, and patience." Murmurs rippled through the audience. Some aliens smiled skeptically. Others leaned closer, curious. "Humans," Lyra continued, "are often misunderstood. Many of us have laughed at them, joked about their weaknesses, and assumed they could not accomplish great things. But today, you will see the truth." She turned to Ethan. "Show them." Ethan approached the floating platform, calm and focused. The device in front of him was similar to the one he had stabilized in the lab, but this one was more complex. Multiple rings rotated independently, glowing panels shifted constantly, and streams of energy pulsed unpredictably. Alien engineers had tried for weeks to make it stable, but it had resisted all attempts. The crowd watched as Ethan knelt beside it. He examined the device carefully, his eyes scanning every detail. He did not rush, nor did he hesitate. Step by step, he analyzed the patterns, adjusting each component with careful precision. Lyra watched closely, pride and admiration in her eyes. The crowd went silent, holding its collective breath. Slowly, the device began to respond. The glowing rings synchronized, energy streams flowed harmoniously, and the panels aligned perfectly. The device pulsed with a steady rhythm, as if alive, humming a gentle melody that resonated across the square. The audience gasped. Aliens who had doubted humans stared in disbelief. Others cheered quietly, unsure if they were seeing magic or science. Lyra smiled. "Do you see now?" she asked, her voice filled with excitement. "Humans are clever, resourceful, and capable of great things." An elder alien stepped forward, tentacles quivering with astonishment. I cannot believe it. A human, achieving what we could not." Ethan looked up calmly. "I only observed, thought, and tried. Humans are like this. We adapt, we learn, and we solve problems." The crowd erupted into applause. Aliens clapped with multiple hands, cheered, and floated upward with excitement. Lyra's friends, who had once laughed at humans, now stared with respect and amazement. Lyra stepped beside Ethan. "You see," she said proudly, "this human, this Earthborn, has shown what humans can do, not with power or wings, but with intelligence, patience, and creativity. A younger alien approached, tentacles twitching nervously. I always thought humans were clumsy, but now I see the truth. We underestimated them. Lyra nodded. Many of us did, but it is never too late to learn. Ethan smiled faintly. We all have strengths. Humans have ways of thinking that are different, and that can make us strong. But we also learn from others. Cooperation matters. The crowd began to murmur excitedly. Aliens who had once doubted humans were now discussing the possibilities. Some even speculated that humans could help solve problems across the galaxy, offering ideas and creativity that no other species had considered. Lyra felt a warm sense of pride. She had started this journey joking about humans, teasing them, and assuming they were weak. But now, standing beside Ethan, she realized how wrong she had been. Humans were extraordinary, capable of achieving the impossible and deserving of respect. She turned to Ethan. I have to admit something. I mocked humans for years. I thought they were small, clumsy, and unremarkable. But you proved me wrong. You showed me that humans can do incredible things. Ethan's calm smile did not falter. It is easy to judge without seeing. You have seen now. That is enough. Lyra shook her head. It is not enough. I want others to see too. I want everyone to understand. Humans. They are amazing, and they deserve respect. She looked back at the crowd and raised her voice again. Everyone! Humans are not what you have been told. They are clever, adaptable, and capable of solving challenges no other species can. We should learn from them, respect them, and work together. The aliens around her whispered among themselves. Some were skeptical, but many were nodding, impressed by her words and Ethan's demonstration. The idea that humans were more than stories, more than jokes, began to spread. One alien elder floated forward and bowed slightly. You have shown wisdom, young Lyra, and the human has shown skill beyond what we imagined. Perhaps we have much to learn from humans after all. Lyra smiled, glancing at Ethan. Yes, and we will. Ethan looked at the crowd, calm but pleased with their response. He had not sought praise, but the recognition of humans' abilities was satisfying. Humans were often underestimated, but now, at least on Zaphora, that perspective had begun to change. As the event concluded, Lyra and Ethan stepped away from the platform. The glow of the city reflected in the canals below, painting everything in warm, soft colors. Lyra felt a sense of accomplishment, not just for the device, but for the change in perception she had helped create. You really changed things today, she said quietly. Not just for me, but for everyone here. Humans will be seen differently now. Ethan shrugged faintly. I just tried to help. Humans have always adapted and solved problems. It is what we do. Lyra laughed softly. You make it sound so simple, but it is not. What you did. Humans can inspire hope and respect across the galaxy. Ethan smiled faintly. Perhaps. But it is only one step. Humans must continue to learn and adapt, just like everyone else. Lyra nodded, feeling a deep sense of understanding. She had started the day joking about humans, teasing them for their supposed weaknesses. But now she saw the truth. Humans were clever, resourceful, and remarkable. And she felt proud to know one, to learn from one, and to share that understanding with others. As the stars twinkled above Zaphora, the city calm under the violet sky, Lyra realized something important. The journey of understanding humans was just beginning. There would be more challenges, more puzzles, and more moments to learn. But with Earthborn humans like Ethan, There was no doubt that their ingenuity would inspire change wherever they went. She turned to Ethan one last time for the evening. "Thank you," she said sincerely, "for showing me the truth, for showing everyone the truth. Humans are remarkable." Ethan smiled faintly, his calm eyes reflecting the city lights. "It is not just me. Humans everywhere have the same potential. You only need to see it as you have today." Lyra nodded, her heart full of admiration and excitement. For the first time, she did not see humans as jokes, clumsy creatures, or stories to mock. She saw potential, creativity, and intelligence. She saw a species capable of achieving greatness, and she felt honored to witness it. As they walked through the quiet streets, Lyra felt a spark of excitement for the future. Together, humans and aliens could work, learn, and create things no one had imagined. Respect and understanding could bridge worlds, and she was ready to embrace that journey. And for the first time in her life, Lyra laughed, not as a joke at someone else's expense, but as a celebration of discovery, understanding, and the remarkable potential of humans. The violet stars shone brightly above Zyphora, and on that floating city, the story of one Earthborn human and the alien girl who had once joked about humans ended not with laughter at someone else, but with respect, admiration, and the promise of a future where humans were truly seen for who they were, capable, clever, and extraordinary. The interstellar research vessel Aurora glided silently through the darkness of space. Stars stretched across the black sky like scattered diamonds, and distant planets glimmered faintly on the horizon. Inside the ship, the crew moved with purpose, their footsteps echoing in the metal corridors. Among them was Commander Lyra, a tall woman with sharp eyes and an unshakable confidence. She walked briskly through the main deck, her uniform spotless, her expression unreadable. Dr. Kieran followed quietly, his steps careful and deliberate. He was smaller, more unassuming than most of the crew, but his mind was sharp. Every detail of the Aurora's systems fascinated him, and he often noticed things others missed. He carried a tablet filled with notes, graphs, and calculations, ready to share his observations whenever necessary. But today he sensed the tension building even before he entered the briefing room. Lyra had already gathered the senior crew for the morning briefing. She stood at the front, arms crossed, eyes scanning each face. "The energy signal from the outer sector has intensified," she began, her voice firm. "Our mission is to investigate its origin and report any findings to the Galactic Council. No mistakes. We cannot underestimate this anomaly." Kieran stepped forward. "Commander, I have been analyzing the signal. Its patterns suggest that it is not a natural phenomenon. I believe it might have an artificial origin, possibly created by an advanced civilization." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "And what makes you think that, Dr. Kieran? Humans have a tendency to see patterns where none exist." Her tone was sharp, almost mocking. The crew shifted uncomfortably. Some tried to look away, not wanting to be caught between the two strong personalities. Kieran did not respond with anger. Instead, he calmly projected a graph onto the main screen. The lines flickered and pulsed in sync with the energy signal. "The frequency and modulation are consistent with a designed pattern. The intervals are too precise to be random. If we study it carefully, we might be able to understand its purpose or even communicate with its origin." Lyra tapped her chin, unconvinced. "So you are saying that humans, little earthlings like you, can decode alien technology better than trained officers from thousands of worlds?" She let a small laugh escape, one that was both amused and dismissive. Kieran's eyes did not waver. "It is not about species, Commander. It is about observation, logic, and understanding. I only ask that you consider the data before dismissing it." The crew watched silently. Some were intrigued by Kieran's calm confidence. Others were uncomfortable with Lyra's sharp dismissal. The room was heavy with tension, a silent battle of ego and intellect. Lyra shook her head. "Fine. We will follow your suggestion, but if this signal leads us into danger, the responsibility falls on you." She turned abruptly, signaling the end of the briefing. "Prepare the ship for immediate analysis. I want every system on high alert." Kieran nodded. He knew that earning Lyra's trust would not be easy, but he also understood the importance of patience. He returned to his console, fingers moving over the tablet as he cross-checked readings, calculations, and historical data. The signal's pulses were irregular, yet there was a rhythm, a hidden message waiting to be discovered. As the crew began their work, Lyra moved to the observation deck. She stared out at the star field, thoughts racing. She prided herself on being the best officer on the Aurora, yet something about Kieran unsettled her. His quiet confidence, his calm focus, and the precision of his work reminded her that humans, so often underestimated, could surprise even the most experienced alien officers. Hours passed as Kieran worked tirelessly. The signal grew stronger, flickering across the ship's sensors like a heartbeat. Kieran noticed subtle patterns, fluctuations that suggested intelligence. He cross-referenced these with ancient human theories of physics, space-time, and energy. Slowly, a clearer picture began to emerge, one that hinted at something far greater than any crew member had imagined. Meanwhile, Lyra paced the observation deck. She could not shake the feeling of being challenged, not by force or combat, but by intellect. She had commanded ships, led fleets, and faced cosmic storms that could tear worlds apart. Yet here she was, unsure, watching a human quietly uncover secrets hidden in the stars. "Commander," Kieran's voice came over the intercom, "I believe the signal is not stationary. It is moving, following a trajectory. If we adjust the ship's course by 32 degrees, we can intercept it before it disappears beyond the system's edge." Lyra's hand hovered over the control panel. She wanted to doubt him, to assert her authority. But something in his tone was undeniable, careful, precise, and confident. She sighed, then nodded. "Very well. Plot the course, Dr. Kieran. We follow your lead." As the ship adjusted its path, the energy signal intensified. Lights flickered across the main deck, and a low hum resonated through the hull. The crew braced themselves. Sensors beeped, displaying rapid data streams. The signal was alive, intelligent, and powerful. Kieran watched the readings, his eyes sharp. "It is reacting to our presence. This is not merely a message, it is an awareness. Something or someone is observing us in return." Lyra's eyes widened. She could feel the weight of the moment. For all her experience, she had never encountered an entity like this. She turned to Kieran, searching for reassurance, but found only calm determination. Hours turned into a tense night as the Aurora approached the edge of the signal's origin. Kieran continued to study the patterns, each revelation quietly proving his earlier insights. Lyra, once dismissive, now observed him with a growing respect she was not ready to admit aloud. Finally, the signal stabilized. A faint, almost melodic resonance filled the ship's communication channels. Kieran's face lit up with discovery. "Commander, this is no ordinary energy. It contains structured information. The civilization that sent it, if civilization it is, wants to communicate or at least test our intelligence." Lyra's voice was steady, but her heart raced. "Then we proceed carefully, full analysis, and no mistakes." Kieran smiled faintly, knowing that their journey was only beginning. The first clash of minds had ended, but the true challenge lay ahead. Somewhere in the vastness of space, a mystery awaited, and humans, underestimated for centuries, might be the key to unraveling it. As the Aurora glided closer to the unknown, Lyra allowed herself a rare thought. Perhaps humans were more than she had ever imagined. And perhaps this small, quiet scientist she had belittled would show her the strength, intelligence, and ingenuity that defined Earth and humanity itself. The stars outside shimmered as if in silent applause, marking the beginning of an adventure that would test pride, challenge assumptions, and reveal truths far beyond the imagination of any single being. The aurora hummed quietly as it drifted closer to the source of the mysterious energy signal. The stars outside sparkled in silence, but inside the ship, tension and curiosity filled every corner. Commander Lyra paced the observation deck, her boots tapping softly against the metal floor. She had spent hours watching Kieran work, each movement precise, each calculation exact. It annoyed her. She did not like feeling uncertain. Kieran sat at his console, eyes scanning the sensors with quiet intensity. The signal pulsed, glowing in irregular patterns, but Kieran had noticed something subtle, a rhythm beneath the apparent chaos. He tapped his tablet, projecting graphs across the main display. "Commander," he said carefully, "the signal is not stationary. It is moving, following a path through this sector. If we track it, we may discover its origin." Lyra crossed her arms. "And if it's a trap?" Her voice carried authority, but a hint of worry slipped through. "We could be heading into a dangerous field of energy or hostile presence." Kieran looked up, calm and composed. "We have sensors and shields. We can proceed carefully. The risk is minimal compared to the knowledge we can gain." Lyra studied him for a moment. His calm demeanor, so unlike the rest of the crew, was unsettling. She had belittled him in the briefing, calling him Earth's simple human, yet now every instinct told her he might be right. She made a decision. "Fine, we follow your path, but we proceed cautiously, every system on full alert." The crew moved quickly, adjusting the ship's trajectory. Outside the reinforced windows, the dark void seemed to shift subtly as they approached the source of the signal. The stars themselves seemed to dance in response, and a faint glow appeared on the horizon. A shimmer that made even the most experienced crew members hold their breath. Kieran's fingers flew over the tablet. "The signal is intensifying. It is aware of our presence. I recommend we reduce speed and deploy probe sensors. Direct contact may be dangerous." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Deploy the probes, and stay ready. I do not want surprises." The small, spherical probes shot from the aurora, their engines lighting up as they approached the glowing anomaly. Data streamed back instantly, displaying patterns of energy that twisted and pulsed like living light. Kieran studied every wave, every spike. Slowly, he began to decode the subtle rhythm behind the signal. "It's structured," he whispered, almost to himself. "It is designed to communicate. Whoever, or whatever, sent this signal is intelligent. They are testing us." Lyra turned sharply. "Testing us? How?" Kieran pointed to the main display. "The pulses repeat in sequences that resemble logic patterns. They respond to changes in our approach. If we adjust our position, the signal reacts. It is observing us, evaluating our actions." Lyra's pride bristled. "And you, human? Think you can predict its next move?" Kieran met her gaze calmly. "I do not predict, I calculate. Observation and analysis allow us to respond intelligently. It is not about ego, Commander. It is about understanding." Lyra's lips pressed into a thin line. She was used to giving orders and seeing them followed without question. Kieran's quiet confidence challenged her authority, but she could not ignore the results. The data spoke for itself. Hours passed as the aurora carefully tracked the signal. The crew worked tirelessly, monitoring systems, adjusting shields, and documenting every observation. Outside, the glowing anomaly grew brighter, filling the space around the ship with a strange, almost musical hum. Suddenly, the ship shuddered. A pulse of energy surged through the hull, causing lights to flicker. Crew members grabbed nearby rails, holding steady. Lyra's eyes flashed with determination. "Status report," she barked. Kieran's hands moved over the console with calm precision. "Minor energy interference, Commander. No damage. The signal is reacting to our proximity, but our shields are holding." Lyra exhaled slowly. "Good. Keep monitoring. We cannot afford mistakes." The anomaly's glow began to take shape, forming intricate patterns that seemed almost architectural. Kieran's eyes widened slightly. "This is remarkable. The structure of the energy itself suggests intelligence. It is forming geometries, almost like a message encoded in light." Lyra stepped closer, her curiosity overcoming her pride. "A message? You mean they are trying to communicate with us?" Kieran nodded. "Yes. And based on the complexity? I believe it may be testing our reasoning abilities, perhaps even our understanding of advanced physics. It is responding to our knowledge, not just our actions." Lyra felt a chill. For the first time, she realized that the small human she had belittled possessed insight that could surpass even her training. It was unsettling and fascinating. As the crew continued their work, the anomaly pulsed again, and the ship was gently pulled toward the source of the signal. Alarms remained silent. The pull was subtle but undeniable. Kieran studied the readings. "Commander, this is not dangerous. It is guiding us, not harming us. We should follow it. It wants us to understand something." Lyra hesitated. Her instincts screamed caution, but curiosity pushed her forward. Slowly, she nodded. "Very well. Lead the way, Dr. Kieran." Kieran's fingers danced across the controls, guiding the Aurora along the invisible path dictated by the signal. The ship moved smoothly, almost as if it were being welcomed rather than threatened. Crew members whispered among themselves, sensing the gravity of the moment. As the anomaly's glow intensified, the Aurora approached the edge of a planetary system, one that was uncharted and filled with strange crystalline formations visible even from orbit. The signal's pattern became clearer, almost rhythmic, and Kieran realized something astonishing. "This planet," he murmured, "is the origin of the signal, its energy signature. It is not just natural. It has been shaped to interact with intelligent life. Whoever constructed it wanted beings like us to discover it." Lyra's breath caught. "Constructed? You mean this is artificial?" Kieran nodded. "Yes, and based on my analysis, it may contain information about civilizations far older and more advanced than ours. We are standing on the threshold of discovery." Lyra looked at him, her previous skepticism fading. The human she had mocked now held the key to understanding a cosmic mystery. For all her experience, she could not deny the truth. Earth had produced minds capable of reaching beyond the stars, minds that could interpret messages even advanced alien civilizations considered complex. The ship's sensors displayed the planet in breathtaking detail. Crystalline forests sparkled beneath a pale alien sun. Rivers of glowing liquid traced intricate patterns across the surface. Kieran's calculations suggested that the energy signal was somehow connected to the planet's structure itself. "We need to land," he said. "The energy patterns are interacting with the atmosphere and surface. The planet may hold answers we cannot access from orbit." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "And if it is dangerous?" Kieran smiled faintly. "Then we proceed carefully as always. Knowledge requires courage, Commander." Lyra hesitated. Then, with a nod, she made the decision. "Prepare the landing team. Full precautions. We follow your lead, Kieran. But remember, we survive first, discover second." As the crew readied the Aurora for descent, the signal pulsed one final time from orbit, a soft melodic resonance that filled the ship. Kieran felt a surge of anticipation. The anomaly was no longer just a puzzle. It was a doorway, and humans, underestimated for centuries, were the ones capable of stepping through it. Lyra watched the human scientist quietly. She could feel her own pride shifting, bending under the weight of truth. For all her training, experience, and authority, she now understood that humans were more than their appearance, their size, or the prejudices of others. The Aurora began its descent toward the planet, crystal forests glinting below. The crew braced for what lay ahead. Kieran's eyes shone with curiosity and determination. Lyra's heart pounded with a mix of fear, wonder, and a newfound respect. Somewhere in the glowing landscape, the origin of the signal waited. And when the humans finally touched its surface, they would discover truths about the universe and themselves that no one had expected. The Aurora descended slowly through the pale sky of the uncharted planet. Crystalline forests stretched across the land below, reflecting the faint light of the alien sun. Rivers shimmered with a glow that seemed almost alive, winding between mountains shaped like jagged glass. The crew held their breath as the landing thrusters lowered the ship toward a flat expanse near the largest crystalline formation. Commander Lyra's hands tightened on the railing, her sharp eyes scanning the terrain. Despite her pride and authority, she could not hide her awe. The planet was alive in a way she had never seen before, and the energy signal pulsed faintly beneath the surface, like a heartbeat. Kieran moved calmly to the front of the landing deck. "Commander, the readings indicate that the signal is strongest near those crystalline towers," he said, pointing to a formation in the distance. "The energy is not random. It is structured, almost like it is waiting for us." Lyra's lips pressed together. She had belittled him before, dismissing his observations as the cautious ideas of a human scientist. Yet now, as she watched him analyze the planet, a thought formed in her mind. Perhaps he was right. Perhaps humans were underestimated for too long. "Prepare the landing team," Lyra ordered, her voice firm. "We move carefully. I want full scans before anyone steps outside." Kieran nodded. He activated the environmental sensors, scanning the air, soil, and energy flows. "The planet is safe for short exposure," he reported. "The energy interacts with our instruments, but it does not appear hostile. However, it responds to thought patterns and problem-solving. Whoever created this intended for intelligent life to interact with it." Lyra raised an eyebrow. "Interactive energy? You mean it is alive?" "Not alive as we know it," Kieran replied. "More like a system designed to test and teach. It responds to intelligence and reasoning. We are being measured." Lyra scoffed lightly, though her tone lacked confidence. "And you think humans are the ones it wants to measure? Not the dozens of other species across the galaxy?" Kieran did not hesitate. "I do not know the intention, but humans have unique problem-solving abilities. Perhaps that is what the creators valued. Perhaps that is why it responded to me first." Lyra looked away, annoyed, but something inside her shifted. For the first time, she felt that human ingenuity, something she had once dismissed, might truly matter in the galaxy. The landing team prepared to exit. Kieran, Lyra, and a few others suited up in protective gear. The hatch opened, revealing a world bathed in pale green and violet light. The air was breathable, though tinged with an electric hum that seemed to resonate with their own bodies. Every step on the crystalline ground produced a soft, musical chime. Kieran led the way. "The signal is strongest ahead. We need to reach the towers. They may hold the key to understanding this system." Lyra followed, her boots crunching softly on the alien surface. She studied Kieran closely. He walked calmly, analyzing every reflection and pulse of energy. Despite her initial doubts, she had to admit, his intelligence, patience, and understanding were extraordinary. As they approached the crystalline towers, the energy signal intensified. Pulses of light flickered across the surfaces, forming patterns that were almost geometric, almost mathematical. Kieran's eyes widened. This is incredible. The energy itself is structured. It encodes information in the flow of light. Whoever created this is far more advanced than we imagined. Lyra stared at the shifting patterns, feeling a mixture of fear and amazement. "And you, human, understand it?" she asked, unable to hide her astonishment. Kieran smiled faintly. "I understand some of it. It resonates with principles humans have developed over centuries, our physics, our mathematics, our ability to perceive patterns. It is designed to interact with intelligence, not force." Lyra's chest tightened. She remembered how she had mocked him in the briefing, calling him Earth's simple human. The words now felt bitter in her mouth. She had underestimated him, and more importantly, she had underestimated what humans could achieve. Kieran knelt by the largest tower, placing his hands on the crystalline surface. Light pulsed in response, tracing intricate pathways across the structure. "It is reacting to thought and understanding," he said softly. "The energy responds to knowledge, logic, and reasoning. Whoever created this wanted beings like us to engage with it intellectually." Lyra's voice was quiet, almost a whisper. "And humans are capable of this?" Kieran nodded. "Yes, humans have a unique ability to observe, learn, and adapt. That is why I believe this planet is responding to us." Lyra's pride resisted, but she could not deny the evidence. She had belittled him, dismissed him, yet here he was, unlocking the secrets of a planet that had remained untouched for millennia. She swallowed hard, a mix of awe and regret stirring within her. Suddenly, the crystal tower pulsed brightly, projecting a holographic display into the air. Alien symbols, glowing in soft gold, floated above the surface. Kieran's eyes scanned them, recognizing patterns that echoed human logic and problem-solving methods. "It is a message," Kieran said, voice trembling with excitement. "Encoded in energy and geometry. Whoever sent this, intentionally or not, left instructions for understanding their knowledge. It is a test of intelligence, a challenge for the capable." Lyra felt a wave of disbelief. She had faced countless alien civilizations, studied their technology, and survived cosmic storms that could destroy worlds. And yet, here she was, watching a human calmly unlock secrets she could not even begin to comprehend. "You did this," she said softly, unable to hide the respect in her voice. "You, Kieran, you unlocked it." Kieran shook his head. "No, Commander, it is not about me. It is about humans, the potential of our species. This message was created to interact with intelligent life. Humans have qualities that allow us to understand, adapt, and innovate. That is why it resonates with me." Lyra's eyes filled with a mix of wonder and humility. For the first time, she saw humans not as small, weak, or insignificant, but as capable, brilliant, and essential. The arrogance that had made her belittle him dissolved, replaced by an understanding that Earth had hidden strengths even the galaxy had overlooked. The energy pulses shifted again, revealing deeper layers of the holographic message. Kieran stepped forward, carefully tracing the patterns. "These structures, they are a record, a history of civilizations that valued intelligence, creativity, and adaptability. Humans may be recognized in ways we never imagined." Lyra stepped closer, watching him work. She realized that her judgment had been wrong. She had assumed that humans, being small and underestimated, could not match other species. Yet Kieran proved her assumptions false. Humans were capable of brilliance that demanded respect. As the crew explored further, they found pathways within the crystalline towers. Energy flowed like rivers, illuminating symbols, equations, and historical records. Kieran guided the team, translating the patterns into concepts the crew could understand. Lyra followed silently, her pride tempered by the astonishing reality before her. She had mocked him, underestimated him, and yet Kieran's intellect, patience, and insight were the key to unlocking a planet's greatest secret. Hours passed, and the crew's awe grew. The towers were not just structures. They were archives of knowledge, lessons designed to challenge and educate any who discovered them. And humans, it seemed, had the ability to rise to that challenge in ways that few others could. Finally, Kieran paused, looking up at Lyra. "Commander, the message, it recognizes humans. It identifies qualities in us that are rare and valuable in the galaxy. Strength, intelligence, curiosity, creativity. It is acknowledging Earth's potential." Lyra's breath caught. For all her experience, all her training, she had never imagined that humans, her species, could hold such significance in the galaxy. She swallowed hard, a mix of awe, pride, and humility flooding through her. "Then, we were wrong," she said softly. I underestimated you. I underestimated Earth." Kieran smiled gently. "It is not about underestimation. It is about discovery. And now, Commander, we are learning what humans are truly capable of." Lyra nodded slowly, her mind racing. The planet, the energy, the message, it was more than a test. It was proof that humans, small and often overlooked, possessed qualities that could shape the galaxy. And the human she had belittled had revealed it to her. The crystalline towers pulsed in response, as if acknowledging their understanding. Lyra looked at Kieran, and for the first time, she did not see a simple human. She saw a representative of Earth's hidden potential, a mind capable of matching even the most advanced civilizations. In that moment, a shift occurred, not just in Lyra's perception, but in the journey itself. The planet's secrets were still unfolding, but the lesson was clear. Humans, underestimated and overlooked, could achieve greatness beyond expectation. And as the sun set behind the crystalline towers, casting long, glowing shadows across the landscape, Lyra realized that the galaxy had underestimated humans for too long. Kieran had not only proven her wrong, he had revealed the truth about Earth itself. The crystalline towers stretched higher as the Aurora's landing party ventured deeper into the planet's mysterious terrain. Light shimmered across the jagged surfaces, casting a kaleidoscope of colors over the ground. Every step the crew took produced a musical chime, each note harmonizing with the pulsing energy of the towers. Kieran moved confidently, analyzing each reflection, each vibration, each subtle change in the light. Commander Lyra followed, her eyes wide, a mixture of awe and caution on her face. She had once dismissed this human, belittled him for his calm demeanor and quiet intelligence. Yet now, as Kieran traced patterns of energy along the crystalline walls, her pride softened. It was clear, humans, underestimated for centuries, possessed qualities that even she, a veteran commander, had not fully appreciated. "The energy here is incredible," Kieran murmured. "It responds to knowledge, reasoning, and historical understanding. Whoever created this intended intelligent beings to engage with it on a meaningful level." Lyra nodded slowly. "And humans are the ones it responds to?" Kieran's eyes sparkled with focus. "Yes, it recognizes humans' ability to observe, adapt, and innovate. Our curiosity, problem-solving, and creativity, these are qualities valued by this civilization." Lyra swallowed hard. Her thoughts went back to the morning briefing, to the words she had used to belittle him. "I underestimated you," she admitted quietly, almost to herself. "And I underestimated Earth." Kieran shook his head gently. "It is not about underestimation, Commander. It is about discovery. And now, we are learning what humans can do." The crew followed as Kieran guided them deeper into the crystalline formation. The tower's energy pulses became more complex, forming patterns that intertwined like strands of light. Symbols appeared, floating in midair, glowing in soft gold and silver. Some resembled equations, others like maps of galaxies, and a few resembled concepts humans had only begun to understand. "This is a record," Kieran said, awe in his voice. "A history of civilizations that valued intelligence, creativity, and adaptability. And it is acknowledging humans." Lyra leaned closer, studying the symbols. "Acknowledging humans? You mean they knew about us?" Kieran nodded. "Perhaps. Or perhaps they left this message for beings capable of understanding it. The planet itself seems to respond to intelligence that resembles human reasoning." Lyra's pride twisted with humility. She had always thought humans were small, weak, and insignificant compared to other galactic species. Now she saw that they possessed something far more valuable: the ability to understand, adapt, and create. Kieran stepped forward and touched one of the floating symbols. The crystal walls pulsed in response, a soft hum resonating through the air. Streams of light traced along the surface, forming pathways that led further into the towers. These devices, they are designed to interact with intelligent thought. They respond to logic, to understanding, to creativity. It is a test, but also an education. Lyra watched, silently amazed, as Kieran moved confidently, manipulating the energy with knowledge and insight. Every action he took revealed new layers of the alien technology. Symbols rearranged, maps unfolded, and knowledge long hidden became accessible. "The towers themselves are a library," Kieran explained, "encoded in energy, and humans are capable of interpreting it. That is why it reacts to me and to Earth's history, science, and understanding." Lyra felt a chill of awe. She had faced countless alien civilizations, survived cosmic storms, and navigated the most dangerous sectors of space. Yet here she was, watching a human unlock secrets that could reshape their understanding of the galaxy. One of the crew members, an alien officer from the Orion sector, approached cautiously. "Commander Lyra, this human's abilities are extraordinary. He interacts with the energy in ways none of us can. How is this possible?" Lyra nodded slowly, her respect evident. It is possible because humans are underestimated far too often, and perhaps that is their advantage. They think differently. They adapt. They create solutions when others cannot. Kieran continued to move through the towers, his hands tracing the streams of energy. Symbols floated into intricate sequences, revealing technological concepts that the crew could barely comprehend. Some explained energy manipulation, others detailed advanced communication systems, and a few suggested ways to travel across vast distances instantaneously. "This civilization," Kieran whispered. "They valued intelligence, learning, and problem-solving above all else. They left this planet as a challenge, a record, and they wanted capable species to discover it. Humans are recognized in it." "We have qualities they admired." Lyra's chest tightened. For the first time, she truly understood the potential of Earth and its people. Humans had survived hardships, evolved, created, and learned. They were resilient, intelligent, and capable of remarkable achievements. And now Kieran, representing that legacy, was proving it. The towers pulsed brighter as Kieran approached the central structure. The light coalesced into a vast holographic display, showing images of galaxies, stars, and planets. Symbols hovered above, moving in sequences that resembled mathematical formulas and logic patterns. Kieran's mind raced as he interpreted them, connecting the alien knowledge with human understanding. "Commander," he said, turning toward Lyra, "look at this. These designs, They describe civilizations that survived and thrived by valuing intelligence, collaboration, and creativity. Humans share these qualities. That is why the energy responds to us. Lyra stepped closer, studying the holograms. She felt a surge of pride and humility. I never imagined humans could be recognized like this. We have always been underestimated. Kieran nodded. That is true. But perhaps that is why humans are exceptional. We are underestimated, yet we rise to challenges. We adapt, we learn, and we create. This planet acknowledges that potential. As the crew explored further, they discovered corridors within the towers lined with symbols and energy conduits. Each step they took illuminated more of the message, revealing detailed instructions on energy manipulation, interstellar communication, and knowledge transfer. This is more than a message, Kieran said. It is a teaching system. Whoever created it wanted intelligent species to learn and grow. And humans, our history, our logic, our creativity, allow us to succeed here. Lyra's eyes softened as she watched him work. The arrogance she had carried, the pride that had led her to belittle Kieran, now felt misplaced. She saw clearly that humans were capable of greatness, and Kieran was a living example of that legacy. Hours passed as the crew studied the towers. They worked in silence, each discovery more astonishing than the last. The alien technology was complex, yet Kieran's understanding made it accessible. He translated the symbols into concepts the crew could comprehend, bridging the gap between species and showing the true power of human ingenuity. Finally, Kieran paused, looking at Lyra with a faint smile. Commander, the towers, they acknowledge humans not just for intelligence, but for adaptability, curiosity, and resilience. Qualities that are rare in the galaxy. Humans are valuable. Lyra felt her chest tighten. Then, Earth has a place in the galaxy beyond what we imagined. Humans are not small, weak, or insignificant. We matter. Kieran nodded. Exactly. And we are only beginning to understand our potential. The galaxy has underestimated humans for too long. This planet, its energy, it proves that humans are capable of achievements beyond expectation. Lyra stood silently, watching the glowing towers. She thought of the humans who had shaped Earth's history, of the struggles, innovations, and triumphs of their species. And now, for the first time, she realized that humans were not just survivors. They were contributors, creators, and innovators with a unique role in the cosmos. The energy pulses shifted, forming a final, brilliant pattern in the air. Kieran reached out, tracing the shapes with his hands. The light seemed to recognize him, responding to his understanding, acknowledging the legacy of Earth. Lyra took a deep breath. Kieran, you've not only unlocked this planet's secrets, you've shown me the truth about humans. I respect that. I respect you. Kieran smiled gently. It is not about respect for one person, Commander. It is about acknowledging Earth's potential. Humans are capable of greatness when given the chance to learn, adapt, and create. This planet proves that. As the sun set behind the crystalline towers, the light shimmered across the landscape, casting long, glowing shadows. The crew stood in awe, realizing that they had witnessed something extraordinary. The planet's energy, once a mystery, now revealed the hidden legacy of humanity, intelligence, creativity, and resilience recognized by a civilization long gone, yet still echoing across the stars. Lyra looked at Kieran, and for the first time, she did not see a small human. She saw a representative of Earth's hidden potential, a mind capable of rising to challenges that even advanced alien civilizations had considered. And she knew, without doubt, that humans had a role in shaping the galaxy's future, a role that was just beginning. The Aurora's landing team returned to the ship after a full day of exploration. The crystalline towers of the uncharted planet still shimmered in the distance, glowing softly under the alien sun. Kieran moved quietly, carrying his tablet filled with notes, scans, and calculations from their discoveries. Commander Lyra walked beside him, her expression thoughtful, almost humble. For the first time in her career, Lyra felt a sense of awe toward humans, not just toward Kieran, but toward her entire species. The towers, the energy, and the hidden message of the alien civilization had revealed a truth she could no longer ignore. Humans were underestimated, and their potential was extraordinary. As the crew secured the Aurora for departure, Lyra approached Kieran. "Dr. Kieran," she began, her voice steady but sincere, "I owe you an apology. I belittled you, dismissed your ideas, and underestimated the value of humans. I see now that was wrong." Kieran smiled gently, his calm demeanor unchanged. "Commander, there is no need for apology. Understanding comes from discovery, not judgment. What matters is that we learn, and humans have shown their capability here." Lyra nodded slowly, swallowing her pride. "You've not only proven your own intelligence, you've shown me the strength of Earth itself. I underestimated our people for too long." Kieran's eyes softened. "It is not about proving, Commander. It is about recognizing potential. Humans are capable of observing, learning, adapting, and creating in ways that few species can. This planet, this energy, it acknowledges that. And now, so do we." The crew prepared the ship to lift off. The alien towers pulsed one last time, as if in farewell. Streams of light traced patterns into the sky, reflecting the human achievements encoded in the energy. Kieran studied them, feeling a mixture of pride and humility. The message had revealed humanity's hidden legacy, not just intelligence, but creativity, resilience, and unity. Lyra joined him at the observation deck. She watched the towers recede in the distance, her mind racing. "I always thought humans were small, weak, and insignificant compared to the galaxy," she admitted. "But this proves we are far more than that. We are capable, intelligent, valuable." Kieran nodded. "Exactly. Humans have survived, adapted, and created in ways that allow them to rise to challenges. That is why the towers responded to us, and why the galaxy should take note of Earth." The crew gathered in the main deck as Kieran presented his findings. Energy patterns, holographic symbols, and decoded messages illuminated the room. The alien civilization had left instructions, knowledge, and challenges designed for intelligent species. Kieran explained how humans had been uniquely capable of interpreting and engaging with the energy, bridging logic, creativity, and problem-solving in ways few others could. Lyra watched the crew's reactions. The aliens of other species were silent, impressed by what humans had accomplished. Some looked at Kieran with respect, some with curiosity, but all could see the truth. Humans were capable of remarkable feats. "Commander," one Orion officer finally spoke, "it appears humans are more than we realized. They are exceptional." Lyra nodded, a proud smile forming. "Yes, and it is time the galaxy recognizes that." Kieran turned to the crew. "The towers are a record, a test, and a teaching system. They acknowledge humans for intelligence, adaptability, and creativity. But more importantly, they remind us that potential comes from learning, curiosity, and collaboration. Humanity has these qualities, and we have only begun to realize them." Lyra stood beside him. "You've shown us the truth, Kieran. I see now that humans, our people, are capable of greatness beyond what we imagined. And I will make sure the galaxy understands that too." Kieran smiled faintly. "It is not about pride, Commander. It is about understanding our place in the universe. Knowledge, intelligence, and the ability to act wisely are what matter. Humans have proven they possess these qualities." The Aurora lifted from the planet, engines humming as the ship rose above the crystalline landscape. The towers glowed one last time, pulses of light reaching into space like signals of recognition. Kieran watched them, knowing that humanity had earned acknowledgement from a civilization far beyond their own. Lyra joined him at the observation deck, her eyes wide as the planet shrank behind them. "I've never felt anything like this," she admitted. "To see humans recognized for what we truly are, it changes everything." Kieran's voice was calm but filled with conviction. "It does. And now it is our responsibility to continue learning, exploring, and proving ourselves. Humans are capable of great things, but potential only matters if it is acted upon." Lyra nodded. "Then we will act, and we will not underestimate ourselves or anyone else again." The crew set a course back to the Galactic Council, carrying evidence of the discovery, scans of the energy towers, and proof of humanity's unique abilities. The knowledge they brought would challenge assumptions, inspire respect, and redefine Earth's place in the galaxy. As the stars stretched around them, Kieran reflected on the journey. Humans had survived countless trials, explored countless worlds, and developed intelligence that allowed them to adapt and create. The energy towers had revealed the same truth. Humans were exceptional, and it was time the galaxy saw it. Lyra watched him, a smile tugging at her lips. She had once mocked him, belittled him in front of the crew, and assumed he was insignificant. Now she understood that he and humanity were capable of achieving the extraordinary. "This journey," she said softly, "has shown me that humans are not just capable, they are essential, and the galaxy needs to know it." Kieran nodded. "Yes, Commander. And this is only the beginning. Humans have a legacy to fulfill, knowledge to discover, and challenges to overcome. The towers were just the start." The Aurora sped through space, leaving the glowing planet behind. Its crew carried not just alien knowledge, but a renewed understanding of themselves and their species. Humanity's place in the galaxy had been revealed, and the journey ahead was filled with possibility, discovery, and pride. Lyra stood at the observation deck, her eyes on the stars. She no longer saw humans as small or insignificant. She saw potential, brilliance, and the power to shape the universe. Kieran stood beside her, calm, confident, and quietly proud, not for himself, but for Earth. And somewhere in the vastness of space, the energy towers pulsed faintly, acknowledging the humans who had discovered their secrets. A civilization long gone had left a message, and humans had risen to meet it. The galaxy would never underestimate them again. For humans were intelligent, adaptable, and resilient. Humans could observe, learn, and create. Humans could face the unknown with courage, curiosity, and wisdom. And Earth's legacy, hidden, underestimated, and now revealed, would shine across the stars, inspiring respect, awe, and hope wherever humans traveled. The Aurora continued its journey, carrying humanity's truth, its knowledge, and the recognition it had earned. The stars stretched infinitely ahead, a canvas for discovery, achievement, and the promise of a future shaped by human potential. Lyra looked at Kieran one final time. "You've changed the way I see humans. You've changed the way I see Earth." Kieran's eyes were calm, but a small, satisfied smile formed. "Earth has always been capable. Now others will see it too, and we will continue to prove it." The crew stood silently, united in understanding, respect, and pride. The journey had tested them, revealed the truth of humanity, and shown that even the smallest, most underestimated species could shine among the stars. And with that, the Aurora sailed on, a symbol of human brilliance, resilience, and the promise that Earth and its people would leave an enduring mark on the galaxy.